Data isn't power unless it drives performance. Most organizations struggle to provide talent benchmarking for all of their positions that ensures they consistently hire the right people. Let's fix that. I'm John Pike, and I help companies install talent benchmarks and eliminate the costly, frustrating guesswork of who will succeed in each position, thereby driving optimal performance. In this video, I'll show you how talent benchmarking can be a literal game changer. Talent decisions are often made in a vacuum, based on urgency, instinct, or vague notions of fit. But high-performance teams are not assembled by guesswork. They're engineered through benchmarking. Talent benchmarking is the practice of designing, measuring, and calibrating what excellence looks like for every role in your business so you can hire, develop, and promote with absolute precision. It's not just about comparing people, it's about clarifying standards. It's about creating a visible, validated bar for performance and then building your team around it. What is talent benchmarking? It's the process of identifying the psychometric, behavioral, and performance patterns of top performers in a given role and using those patterns to build hiring scorecards, development plans, and promotion pathways. Instead of merely guessing who's a good fit, benchmarking gives leaders a scientific basis for evaluating talent before and after the hire. Done well, it allows organizations to predict success before someone starts, calibrate role expectations based on real data, map current members to ideal profiles, make informed promotion, transition, and exit decisions, and to reduce bias and subjectivity in hiring and development. Rather than vague comparisons or gut feelings, benchmarking provides an objective way to assess capacity, calibrate expectations, and identify growth or risk zones. It measures what's working, spots where alignment is off, and pinpoints exactly who is ready to lead or who might be better placed elsewhere. The benchmarking process, from guessing to knowing. We don't rely on job descriptions or HR templates. We study actual top performers, what they do, how they think, how they're wired. We capture their decision patterns, emotional regulation, motivational drivers, and behavioral rhythms. From this, we create an ideal hiring benchmark for every role. It's a multi-dimensional profile of success for that specific position, in that specific company, at that specific stage of growth and time of the organization. This benchmark becomes your North Star. It drives how you screen candidates, coach employees, and evolve the team. What makes a good benchmark, you ask? Performance-based, built from actual data, not opinions or personality types. Role-specific. Every benchmark is personalized. A sales leader and a sales rep need very different wiring and cognitive abilities. Stage aware. What works in a startup may fail in a scaled enterprise. And culturally aligned. Benchmarks must reflect not just the job, but the company's ethos. Setting the standard with scorecards. Once benchmarks are actually set, they're operationalized through the talent scorecards. These aren't generic evaluation forms. They're structured rubrics that include key success outcomes, required cognitive and behavioral traits, ideal motivational profiles, deal breakers and derailers, coachability and adaptability ratings. Scorecards ensure every decision, hiring, coaching, promoting, is tied to something real and tangible, and it's not subjective. They reduce bias, increase clarity, and align stakeholders on what great actually looks like. Designing the bench, building a full performance roster. Great teams don't just have top performers. They have the right mix of archetypes. Talent benchmarking enables you to build a bench that supports both execution and growth. Every great team needs team leaders, people who guide, coach, and multiply the performance of others. They don't just do, they develop. They need team producers, reliable execution-focused contributors who consistently hit targets and keep the engine running even when conditions are changing. And team players, reliable, self-aware contributors who deliver consistently and raise the bar for culture, as well as specialists, focused, highly skilled individuals who bring depth in key areas, even if they're outside contractors. Benchmarking gives you the clarity to make those calls, to know who should be developed, who needs a new seat, and who, despite loyalty, may no longer belong or be a good fit. Avoiding the almost hire. Hiring by energy, conversation, or resume dramatically increases risk. You may get great interviews, but poor performance. Benchmarked hiring uses data to reduce uncertainty and guesswork. It allows you to reject candidates who interview well but don't match key traits, to shorten ramp up with clarity on what matters most, to introduce early checkpoints to ensure fit. The result? Faster success, lower turnover, and smarter talent investments, which yields better business outcomes. Without a benchmark, companies hire based on hope and what they see, not how things are. She seemed sharp. He had great energy. They had the right background, but hope is not a hiring strategy. Benchmarked companies can instantly filter candidates who are a psychometric mismatch, even if they interview well. In fact, I would say this: if the psychometrics don't match, there's no reason to bring them in to interview them in the first place. So you resist or preempt wasting a ton of management time with people that can't do the job. This avoids painful mishires, onboarding drag, and early attrition. Embedding talent benchmarking. Benchmarking isn't a static report. It's a living diagnostic system that must be embedded into your operations, talent process, and leadership rhythms. But for benchmarking to drive significant value, it must be translated from theory into daily execution. Below is a 6-step model to operationalize benchmarking across your business, so it informs not just how you assess people, but how you grow and retain them. First, identify top performers. The foundation of any benchmark system starts with clarity on what great looks like. Start by identifying your strongest team members, not just by output, but by influence, consistency, and alignment to your mission. These are the people who aren't just getting results, but doing so in a way that uplifts the culture and aligns with your future goals. You're not just looking for the loudest or most visible, but those who reflect the deeper traits of excellence: adaptability, strategic thinking, emotional intelligence, coachability, and composure under stress. Some things to ask include: who consistently outperforms without burning out? Who models the mindset that we want more of? Who creates lift across the team, not just individual impact? These individuals become your internal performance gold standard. Secondly, capture their data. Once you've identified the top performers, the next step is to codify what makes them great. This means translating instincts and anecdotes into structured, observable data. We want to collect and document behavioral data using personality assessments, values-based assessments, and also cognitive drivers, which take a look at your skills. It includes things like how they assess risk, process ambiguity, and prioritize. It includes things like how much they want to assert themselves and give feedback. This combination of psychometric insight and real-world output becomes the benchmark profile for each role type. It tells you what wiring is behind being able to win. Build custom scorecards. Generic scorecards lead to generic performance or average performance. Instead, develop role-specific scorecards that reflect what excellence looks like at each level of your organization. Each scorecard should define core competencies, observable behaviors that are linked to success, behavioral thresholds. What does average versus elite performance look like? Motivational alignment. Do drivers of the role match the person's values? And then stretch indicators, signs of promotability, leadership potential, or specialist depth. This creates clarity for hiring, coaching, succession planning, and role expansion. Scorecards aren't just human resources tools. They become lenses through which leaders make every people decision. Train stakeholders. Even the best benchmarking system will fail if it's only used by one team or one person. Every stakeholder, from frontline manager to HR partners to the C-suite leaders, must understand how to read and apply benchmark data for real decision making. Training should cover benchmarking literacy in terms of what data matters the most and why, how to use scorecards in hiring, performance reviews, and development, as well as how to separate liking from fitting and bias management. We also want to teach leaders how to coach based on benchmark gaps, not just push for results. When leaders are able to translate benchmarks into developmental language, they shift from judging to growing people. It also creates internal consistency, so performance standards don't vary widely between managers. Benchmarking becomes truly embedded when it stops living in reports and starts driving actions. Ways to apply benchmarking daily. First of all, is with hiring, where you compare all of your candidates to the ideal profiles. Resumes are really meaningless. Onboarding. Tailor their ramp plans to where a new hire differs from the benchmark. Coaching. Use gaps between individual data and role standards as coaching maps. Promotions. Make elevation contingent on role readiness, not just loyalty or output. Succession planning. Spot bench talent early by comparing junior staff to next level benchmarks. And then finally, exits. Use misalignment patterns to diagnose fit issues before turnover hits. When every major people decision is filtered through benchmark intelligence, you create alignment and performance at scale, and remove that subjectivity from one of your most important decisions in business, which is hiring. Why this matters more at scale. In small companies, a bad hire is expensive. A talent mistake sets you back. At scale, it's catastrophic and systemic. Benchmarking enables predictable replication. Repeatable hiring. Each hire mirrors top performers. You are only looking for the top 10 or 20% of performers in a given position, and you don't settle. Development clarity. Coaching focuses on real gaps, not guessworks. Succession planning. You build a readiness pipeline based on data, not guesswork. Culture stability. New hires reinforce core values and prevent drift. When talent operations are benchmarked, growth isn't a risk. It's a system. Benchmarks remove variability. They allow companies to replicate top performers, reduce onboarding time so that they are more productive more quickly, avoid the culture being diluted, and then aligning team design with the growth strategy. The invisible return on investment of benchmarking. In this ever-growing war for talent and accelerating business pace, The ability to engineer repeatable, high-performing teams separates the winners from the waiters. Talent benchmark is an absolute necessity. By establishing clarity on what excellence looks like, systematizing hiring and development, and aligning talent to business outcomes, founders and leaders build momentum, not movement. And in scaling businesses, momentum is everything. Benchmarking isn't just about who you hire. It's about who you retain, who you develop, and who you avoid misplacing. It lowers management friction. It improves feedback loops and communication. It provides your people with a clear picture of what success looks like and also how to get there. For business owners preparing to step into strategy and operations work, benchmarking their talent is absolutely critical. It frees you from firefighting day-to-day, and day-to-day oversight becomes structured and scalable. You stop hiring in desperation and start hiring based on predictability. You build a self-regulating talent machine, not just a team of individuals. When everyone is aiming at the same target, aligned by scientific data that is proven, you build a high-performing team that scales itself.